My videos. This one is for 6th grade IXL R.8 Equivalent Ratios Word Problems. Again, remember, make sure you're logged in so you can get credit for these as you're working through these, especially for my class. Normally we would go to learn by example, but on this one they talk about cross products, and we aren't going to do that instead, so we're just going to do some of the examples we have here. So let's go ahead. Are the ratios equivalent? So that's what all these problems are going to be asking us to do, the same thing, to decide if the ratios they give us are equivalent. The way we're going to look at these is we're just going to put these into, write the ratio as a fraction. So we have 1 to 5, and we're going to see is that, and this is dogs and cats, and then they're saying, you know, is that equivalent to this ratio of 3 to 15? And we're just going to use the idea of multiplication. We call that giant 1. Can we get that here? And we could use either one of these. We could times that by 3 and times that by 3. So there's our giant 1 that we've talked about. We're multiplying by that. And so we end up with multiplying straight across. We'd have 3 and multiplying. So we can show that those are equivalent. We could also just say here, yeah, if I multiply that by 3 and multiply that one by 3. So we're multiplying by the same thing, kind of like we did with tables. So yeah, those are equivalent. So that's what you can do. Just deciding by multiplication whether or not they are equivalent. And some of these is going to be easiest to reduce those down to see if they are equivalent. So in this case, we'll close that out here and say yes, those are equivalent. And submit that. Okay, so let's take a look at this one here. So are the ratios equivalent? Some of these, it might be easier just to simplify them down. So we have 12 to 6. And I can see that 6 goes into both these, so I'm going to divide both of these by 6. So if I do that, that would end up 12 divided by 6. That would take it down to 2, to 1. And this one is 20 over 10. 10 goes into both those, so I can divide them by 10, divided by 10, and I get 2 to 1. So those are both equivalent also. So sometimes you can just simplify them both to show that they end up being the same thing. So that's another way to do it, is just simplify them both. Because these, it's kind of hard to find something, multiply them 6 by to get to 10. Once you simplify it, you could have done it, but that's an easier way there, is just simplify them both. And that's going to be one of the easiest ways to do these, is simplify them both. Let's go ahead and jump up the next level here and try some of those. Okay, so this one, 48 cents and 3 centimeters, are those ratios equivalent? What I would do is go ahead and do the same thing. Let's simplify these, is the way I would approach this one. And so we have 48 and 3. The only way this would simplify is if 3 goes into 48. So if this will simplify, you would have to divide by 3. And if it doesn't simplify, then we would start with the other one and then see if we could work it to get a 3. So does 3 go into 48? We could find that out down here. 3 into 48. 3 goes into there one time. 3 minus that down, we get 18, and 3 does go into that 6 times. So we end up with 16. So that would be 16 over 1. And we have 32 over 2. Divide both of those by 2. And we're going to get half of 30 is 30 is 15, and half of 2 is 1. So that ends up being 16 over 1 also. So those are equivalent also, because they end up being the same thing. Okay, let me try another one. Let's jump up to another one here. So let's look at this one. So what would be the easiest way to go ahead and try this one? So we have 43 to 34. Now nothing is jumping out that goes into these. I can see right away. They aren't even. So I start thinking of multiples. I can't think of anything that goes into those. Think about it. Let's start with the other one then. 38 and 52. These are both even, so we know we could get both of those down to, if we divide both those by 2, so let's divide both those by 2. So divide both those by 2. So half of 30 is 15, half of 8 is 4, so we'd have 15 plus 4, that would be 19. And half of 50 is 25, and half of 2, so that would be 26. 19 is prime. And the only thing we can need to see is if it would happen to go into one of these, and 19 won't go into 43, because if we added that, if we add 19 to 38, we would be over 43. So there's no way we can get 19 to 43. So there's no way those could be equivalent, since 19 is a prime number. There's no way those could be equivalent. So, I mean, this one could reduce down, but we can't reduce the 19 down. So we end up closing this out here, and we say no on that one and submit that in there, and we are good. So that's the way you can do those, working with trying to simplify those down and trying to find those. Remember, if you get one wrong, you can look at these, but these are going to talk about cross products, and we really don't do that. I'd rather see you trying to simplify them down or use a giant one to build one of them up to get them equal. So good luck with these, and let me know if you have any questions. Remember, our goal is to try to get them up to 80 is what we're trying to get these up to. Have a good day. Bye.